People would eat a log of shit over admitting that YouTube shadow ban exists. They would rather eat a log of shit instead of admitting YouTube shadow ban happens. They would eat shit just so they won't have to admit there's a trust score on YouTube. It's just a fact. It is just common fact. YouTubers, I remember seeing this video, and it's a recent video of the North Korean trying to get into like a job field, and the way they wanted to prove that he was North Korean was by basically telling him you have to call Kim Jong-un fat. That's how they act. They act all that way. With the North Korean, he was so fucking terrified to call his leader fat that he run off right then. He ran just then. It was on like a Zoom call, and he just immediately stopped right then. It's the same thing. If you tell a YouTuber, say shadow ban exists, or you get a plate, you take a shit in it, and you say you eat that instead of trying to admit shadow ban exists or trust scores exist, they would immediately eat the log of shit. They would enjoy eating the log of shit. That's how YouTubers think. On every other platform, I have talked to Instagram people, I've talked to TikTok people, I have talked to Facebook users. They openly say they would rather say shadow banning exists. They say that shadow banning does exist. But with YouTubers, it's like the equivalent of saying I fucked your mom to them. I fucked your mom and I killed your dog. That's the equivalent of trying to say that shadow banning does exist on YouTube. And they would say, no, your content just sucks. And it's like, well, how come there's these fucking very good videos that don't get views as well? Well, they suck. Okay, how come there's AI slop that gets millions of views? Well, they make good content. No, it's a trust score system. They literally had YouTube employees, or Google employees, who were disgruntled, who said, yes, there is a thing where we have a trust score system. By default, you are shadow banned. Now, they don't call it shadow ban, they call it the suspended creator program. You are on that by default once you make a YouTube account, well, a Google account, and then you build up trust. Now, if they either know who you are, or they don't deem you to be worthy of getting views, you won't get views. They don't want you to get views because they get too afraid of political dissidents or people who say wrong speak. It's just a fact. I don't understand when I point this out to YouTubers. Just YouTubers, really. TikTokers, I have no problem talking about this to them and say, yeah, TikTok will shadow ban you if you make a video. And even TikTok themselves say, especially before when it was owned by China, quote unquote, Tencent, or whatever. They would say just delete the video and your shadow ban will be removed. Your limited reach would be removed. Same thing on Twitter. Same exact shit. They would just say, look, if you are deemed to be speaking wrong thing, we limit your account. I have had several accounts on with TikTok where it just gets limited, i.e. shadow ban. Now, people don't like it when you say shadow ban because it sounds so rough and blunt. You know, it's like how people say gaslighting instead of just saying lying because it's too blunt. It's too mean. It's saying that you're being banned. Even though technically you're not being banned, but it's essentially being banned. That's what it is. They use shadow ban now because used to, back in the older days of YouTube, they would just outright ban you. They'll ban you or give you strikes for no reason. Now, the reason why they do shadow banning because they're afraid that eventually YouTube will get sued. That's why they do it. They can't just say, well, because used to, when shadow ban was like first coined in YouTube, It used to be if you said the word shadowban on YouTube, people found out the algorithm would treat it as a racial slur. Like they literally put it in the same words you say the N word, or saying uh, denying the Holocaust or something. It was that deemed that bad on YouTube. And multiple big YouTubers talked about it and said, yeah, there's an issue with shadow banning. And it got such to a point to where people had to be socially conditioned not to say it. That's why YouTube was like the first one where you had to do newspeak. People like to always try to blame TikTok for this, knowing that it's always the YouTubers. Unalives of Grape and all that actually came from YouTubers originally. It got popularized on TikTok because that became trendy, and it was more deemed as a joke. But all those newspeak words you hear today originally came from YouTube. Because originally, when YouTube was actually trying to, do the demonetization, they made where if you cussed at all, you would demonetize. Because that's what it originally was for. Because when you demonetize on YouTube, you get limited. I.e. limited not just with money, but with views too. Because if you're deemed not worthy to make money on your content, you're also deemed not to get views. That's why once you get monetized on YouTube, you start to pick up in views. That's why many big YouTubers say this: subscribers don't matter. You just need that monetization. Once you're monetized, it doesn't matter how many subscribers you have. You just need 1,000, you always stay at 1,000, it doesn't matter. People get their content by recommendations, not by subscribers anymore. Subscribers used to matter. It used to be if you had a lot of subscribers, YouTube would push you out on the algorithm. Now, there are people who may only have like 1,000 subscribers, but they get hundreds of thousands of views, even millions of views. Because that's how it works on YouTube. YouTube legitimately doesn't matter about subscribers or anything like that. Yeah, but the dissidence of the way YouTubers think, it's like one of the most North Korean style, like very North Korean. Like the dissidence of you trying to point out a very, very obvious fact of YouTube. There have been YouTubers who talked to Google employees. Of course, it had to be anonymous because it said if we admitted, in public that we did that, we wouldn't be able to get a job. Because YouTube is terrified if they get that open. Even though it's been open for almost a decade now. And, YouTubers have been socially conditioned. Because they're one of the most socially conditioned group out of there. Anybody who does social media knows that YouTubers are fucking... They're the liberals. They're the liberals. People talk about triggered liberals. You can't make a joke at all on YouTube. Like, if you go on TikTok compared to YouTube, the comments on TikTok are brutal compared to YouTubers. Like, people make fun of each other, josh each other out, make fun of everybody there. Where on YouTube, and you can say it's the way the comment sections are made. No, it's just YouTubers in general. They're like Reddit mods. It's disgusting. Like, I don't understand how people call like YouTube the more adult friendly website, and people call like TikTok is just for children. It's like, no, it's actually the other way around. There's kids everywhere on fucking YouTube. Like, YouTube Shorts is just nothing but children, and a normal YouTube, it's literally fucking people in their mid-30s. As I told people before, YouTube has become like Facebook. The only reason why people do this website because it pays them. You take away that monetary incentive, YouTube is dead. All other platforms don't pay for shit. People like to say you can make money on the internet now. No, you only make money with one website. That's called YouTube. Outside YouTube, every other social media platform is fucking shit. Now, if you're someone who does YouTube for the love of the game, you won't get views. unless you have a following outside of YouTube. And also if you view bot, because that's like a new thing when new YouTubers, they just pay like $20 to get their, they call it boosting, and they can get all those views. Like, you know how many times I brought up the trust score system and the shadow banning and comments within YouTubers, and I literally had people who get so mad at me that they either threaten me, like literally threaten me, like, I'm gonna come to your house and stuff like that. They get angry when you point this out. But with TikTokers, like, yeah, that's just a fact. That's like water's wet. Instagram, water's wet. YouTubers, I'm gonna kill you. They legitimately get fucking. It's like you fucked their mom and you bragged about it. It's the social equivalent. It's the equivalent of you being a North Korean resident refusing to call your leader a fat fucking pig. And as I said, I'm gonna keep this picture here because it's true. Look at this picture. This is the average YouTuber. They would rather eat either their own shit or someone else's shit. A log of shit. And this is, by the way, this is a real picture of a man eating his own shit. I don't care, show it. Who the fuck cares? They don't fucking care. They would just eat the log of shit, chew it like hubba bubba gum, and swallow it. And smile and say, "Daddy, more." That's how YouTubers think. That's how the average YouTuber thinks. They're one of the most brainwashed people. And the most trigger-happy people I have ever met. They don't talk to the audience at all. If you ever go in the YouTube comment section, even smaller ones, they may have one or two of them talk to the comments. But you never see them talk to each one of their comments. They never do. Well, on TikTok, it's very socially acceptable to talk to your comment section. It's encouraged. Well, on YouTube, everyone wants to act like Mr. Beast, and they just say, your audience. The fucking other gaslight term they say, don't call it the algorithm, call it your audience. No, that it's a fact, it's the algorithm, not the audience. You don't grow because of quality. You grow because YouTube deems you as a good YouTuber. So that AI slop you see, which is far more on YouTube than it is on TikTok. TikTok doesn't really have that much slop. It legitimately doesn't have that much slop. There's far less slop than on YouTube. YouTube is just filled with slop. I get so much AI slop on shorts and so much AI slop, long form content from people from Indonesia and India, copying plagiarizing videos and then just change up a couple of words and then post on YouTube. And I'd rather listen to that because at least they get straight to the point where, YouTubers try to say, I want money from my Patreon and all that bullshit. That's how YouTubers think. And I'm going to keep this picture up. I don't give a shit. You get mad about it, that's you. That's you, YouTuber or even YouTuber viewer. You would rather eat the log of shit than to admit that shadow banning exists or trust score exists. That's just a fact. 100%, sue me.